ladies, Sharon here again this week. I guess what we're going to do today, I am going to compare two palettes. The first palette I'm going to compare is the Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette, which is to die for. And the next palette that I'm going to compare it to is the Lorac Pro 3. They're brand new palettes that just came out. They are fabulous. Okay, let's start talking a little bit about the Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette. I love everything about this palette, I'm going to tell you. The first thing I do want to mention, this has kind of a velvet color. I detest that. I cannot stand it. I've already gotten it dirty, and I've just used it once. So this is going to be very difficult to maintain and to keep clean. That is the only thing I dislike about this palette. But you open it up and you've got a fabulous mirror, as you can see. The mirror is to die for. I have no problems with the mirror. And the palette is this. Is that not the hottest, the most gorgeous palette you have ever seen in your life? Now, I'll be honest with you. When I first saw this palette, I panicked. I did. I said, oh my gosh, look at all those reds. What are we going to do with them and how are we going to do it? Well, this is the look that I gave on this eye. This eye over here is the Lorac Pro 3. We're going to talk about this eye. Okay, girlfriends? There you go. The first thing I did with this palette is I took the raw sienna, which is this color right here, and I used that as a transition. I put the transition color all the way up here. I do have hooded eyes, so it went a little higher than my crease. After that, I combined the burnt orange and the red ochre together, okay? And I started over here in the outer V first and worked my way into the crease with those two colors. I put the burnt orange on and then fed it over, blended it over into the crease, and then I put the red ochre over that, just patting that into the V and then working its way over in the crease on top of the burnt orange, and that was fabulous. Then at the end, what I took was the Venetian Red. This is the hottie right here, Venetian Red. And I did the padding with that. And it stopped at 1/3 of the eye. Because on my eyelid, I used the Vermeer. That is a gorgeous satin color, as you can see. The Vermeer is to die for. So I used that in the inner corners of my eye, up to 2/3 of the eye, and it met up with the ochre. So this is how I handle the eye. Now the lash line underneath, I put the Venetian Red, I put the ochre together and just took it on up to the inner color of the Vermeer, which started about here to here, and the outer corner of the lash line, I put the Cypress Umber, which is this dark brown color. And then I blend it together. Now, on my brow bone, I used the Tempera right here, or Tempera, whichever you want to call it, this first one. And I used that on the brow bone. This is the hottest palette ever. I gotta tell you, it's a fabulous palette. It just is. I mean, it's like it's foolproof. You can do so many colors with this. And I even made a lip gloss today by taking the Venetian Red, and I think it was the Real Gar. The Real Gar's here, the Venetian Red, mixing it together with some of my little Aquaphor and just tapping it on as my gloss on my lips. So it's fun how you can mix these colors and do a lot of things with them. I also took a little of the Real Gar and tapped it up here just to give those eyes a look like they're going up and not down. So this is the Anastasia palette. I cannot begin to tell you that the formula is to die for. And you know the expression, it goes on like butter, feels like butter. It totally does. This is a fabulous palette. I'm going to get a lot of use out of it, even though it is a warm palette and I am a light colored palette gal. I can get a lot of use out of this, and especially with fall around the corner. So, and I'm telling you, $42, this palette was so worth it. The best formula I have used in years. I don't even remember the last time I worked with a palette like this. So there you are. Now the next palette, this eye here, looks very neutral. This is what the Lorac palette looks like. Lorac has always got the nice, thin, wonderful little palettes. You can't beat it. They're cardboard. You can clean it up. You open it up. You have to, excuse me, I've been playing with this one a little bit. And then, of course, you have your mirror there. And then you have all your colors. Fold your mirror back. Here's all your colors. Now, let me explain to you about this palette. This palette has all mattes across the top, and at the bottom you have all satins and some kind of a little bit more glitter in a couple of them. This is the most fabulous neutral palette that I have ever seen. When I got it, I went, ooh, oh, yeah. I mean, I was crazy about it. Now, when I started working with it, it was a little different. I'll be honest with you. It came across as like the Naked Basics palette, the little small palette by Urban Decay. So I was a little disappointed because I worked like crazy on this eye. I had started out by using the canvas. The canvas covered the whole entire eye from the lid all the way to the brow. And I then mixed the cool taupe and the terracotta together to work in the transition in the crease line. And then after that, as far as the V, I started working again with the clay and the terracotta and the cool taupe together in the V and moving that over. Now, the dark brown was the last topper, as I call it, in my outer V. On the brow bone, I used the Blanc. From the arch back is where I used the Blanc. Now on the bottom lash line, I chose to take the clay and I chose to take the terracotta, and I started with the clay here, then the terracotta, up to the light gold. I had used the light gold right here in my inner eye. So at that time, that's where I took the color. Then I used the dark brown, of course, you know, in the bottom third right in here as I extended it over. I love the palette. I think it's fabulous. I didn't see just a whole lot of difference in this palette and the Basics palette. And then I took out my Lorac Unzipped palette and I compared some of the colors there. And believe it or not, some of these satins were a lot like the Unzipped. Now, I think if you want an everyday look and a neutral look, you cannot beat this palette. It is fantastic. But it would be really hard, well, and you could, but it would be really hard to work with and dress it up if you were going to wear it at night. The satins would be fabulous at night, any of the shimmers in this palette. But you'd have to add a little more to give that punch, if you know what I mean. But as far as a neutral, this is the most fabulous palette. Love it, love it, love it for a daytime look. So ladies, this is how I feel about the two palettes. I'm absolutely in love with the Anastasia. I can tell you that. I think Anastasia has really outdone themselves. I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of makeup companies have fallen behind this year. As a matter of fact, I'm kind of disappointed in MAC. They need to up their game. they're putting out 5 million things a month, and then you never see them again. But they're not doing what some of these other companies are, and they're putting out things that are going to last, and they're going to make it, like Anastasia is doing. And like many of your other makeup companies right now, I mean, everyone is just up in their game, and they're moving fast as grease lightning, and they're taking the market right now. So I was really impressed with the Anastasia. I'm just hands down. I've never been fascinated by anything like it in my life. And I'm not one that goes, ooh, over a palette. I've always been a Lorac lover. Well, I'm still a Lorac lover. But when I put on this Anastasia, I thought I died and went to heaven, girls, okay? All right, I hope you feel the same way. I hope this gave you some ideas. Play with it. Write down some of the colors that I told you about and where to put them. If you need any other questions answered, you know where I am, girlfriends, okay? I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope my new subbies enjoyed it. Hope everybody's starting to meet everybody. I want them to kind of mix and match, and we're doing some shout-outs so everybody will get to know some of the new subbies as well. But I want you to give me a big thumbs up, ladies, if you enjoyed this video, and stay sassy, classy, and confident.